You can't compartmentalize only the sexual aspect of a relationship and say you want to take things slow, but then hang out 3 times a week. That's very confusing, and it's a mixed message to yourself and to the person.
Welcome to Guys We...
Greetings, people of Earth who listen to podcasts. How are you? Welcome to another rousing, exciting, entertaining, and educational episode of Guys We Hugged.
Yes, it's the Anti-Slut Shaming Podcast 2025 edition. Happy New Year. I'm Corinne Fisher.
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the year.
Welcome to our year.
Hope you made it.
I think you did.
Some
did not.
Did not.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Well, we made it, but a couple of days. So
yeah, not the trajectory we wanted.
Nope. Not what we wanted.
Nope, guys, stay safe. Okay, if you want to email us, it's SorryAboutLastNightShow @gmail.com. Today's subject line is 10 dates too long? How do I talk about size?
Is 10 dates too long?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah, 10 dates is a relationship.
Yeah.
Hi, Corinne
You're
and
married.
Krystyna. Yeah, you live together. Lately, I've been trying this thing where I am upfront about the fact that I don't want to sleep with a guy right off the bat. Even stating sex, love addiction as the reason. Okay, well, that's good. It's not that I have too much sex or I'm addicted to porn. It's that I move too fast because I get high off the brain chemicals that are released at the prospect of a new sexcapade. I mean, that's bad. So do I. I'm aware that I get attached when I have sex and that it's confusing to me when I don't know you. This has proven to be a pretty good filter for the most part. I had 2 guys fall off after 2 weeks, then met a guy. Let's call him Kevin. You fucked my dog? Ew. Well, you didn't fuck him. You just dated him for a year. Kevin and I were seeing each other about 3 times a week, but I had gone on a trip in between. So after 6 dates, we had been seeing each other for 3 weeks. On our 6th date, he came over and we both got a little drunk, but he was drinking 9% ciders and had about 5 of them. 5? Shit, that's a lot. I know boys can handle more. Hopefully he's tall.
That's a lot of calories.
Yeah, it's true. So he was pretty drunk by the end, which became off-putting because he grew increasingly handsy as the night went on. Ew, gross. I kept my boundaries in a nice way, but finally he said to me that he might lose interest after 10 dates. I said that I feel pressured, and he quickly backtracked. Never mind, I don't know what you're talking about. I said that I have sexual assault in my history and would like to feel comfortable telling him about that before we have sex. That makes sense. I'm also not disclosing everything about myself right off the bat these days. Ooh, good tactic. And I think that's a sign of progress. Please keep in mind, I love sex and want a healthy sexual relationship, and I'm upfront about that too. I just want to take things slow for many reasons. One being that I don't like using condoms.
Okay, and before you go any further, I hear you about the sex, but like when you say take things slow, seeing each other 3 times a week in the early stages of dating is not taking things slow. You can't compartmentalize only the sexual aspect of a relationship and say you want to take things slow, but then hang out 3 times a week. That's very confusing, and it's a mixed message to yourself and to the person you're dating. So it's like you still have this like obsessive addiction part of your brain working, but you're just like, but I'm not having sex. It's like
good eye, Corinne. Good eye. I didn't even think about that, but you're totally right.
Aligned.
The thing I haven't mentioned to you is that for our 5th date, we went to the sauna in his building. I thought that getting half naked would get us an inch closer to sex without crossing any lines. Dude, I'd be so pissed if I went on a date and we went in a sauna and I wanted to fuck the guy and then he was like, no, but I can't yet.
I think you might need to spend more time with straight men, like just like to get to understand how their brains work, because as a woman, I understand how your brain is working, but it's the complete antithesis of the male brain. You're torturing this guy.
I know. We had kissed, bunched, and cuddled at this point, but I noticed throughout the night that perhaps his package was a little smaller than I hoped. But he didn't take his pants off.
And also, there's growers and showers. That's unfair.
I also can't get it out of my mind that nose length is a correlation to size more than feet.
Stop reading memes. Stop reading memes.
Girl, no, it's not.
Stop it.
It's not. That's not true.
Stop reading
Do you know how many button nose-ish guys I fucked with giant wangs?
Oh my God.
If I had a nickel. So fast forward again to our 6th date when he said that he might lose interest after 10 dates if I didn't sleep with him. I get that from his point of view. I'd say that to a guy, honestly. I immediately got the ick. But let's say I decided to sleep with him and his dick was small. Yeah, you're all over the place here. I'm not really sure.
It's like you want respect, but you're really not giving it.
Yeah. I think it's you're putting your eggs in the wrong basket, perhaps.
Can you look? And also, while we're reading the rest of this, can you look up this correlation between nose size and
I've never
penis
heard
size?
that.
Because I need to see if there's any validity to
I
that.
thought it was hands and feet.
Eric, look at don't try to get the answer from your brain. Get the answer from something that says .edu.
I'm not really sure.
Nose, penis,
I'm not really sure how to navigate a conversation about that, especially with someone who I don't even know yet. How do you not know him yet? You've hung out with him 6 times. I mean, look, I know you get to know each other as the relationship progresses, but like you know him a little.
Get to know him better faster.
Yeah. Are you not asking the right questions? Also, if you're getting drunk every time, or both of you or one of you are getting drunk every time you're hanging out, yeah, okay, you're not really getting to know each other, but that's on whoever's drinking too much.
Did she say how old she is? I was like, this is like a 20s level getting to know, because I was like,
she doesn't say.
At 39, I can talk to someone for, I don't know, 15 minutes and know if they're going to be a possible life partner.
Oh, every first date I've ever been on,
yeah.
The second we sit down, I know if it's a yes or no.
Yeah.
And then if it's a no, I'm like, the whole date, I'm like, okay, what's brainstorming? What's a good excuse?
Yeah, I took literally a car ride with my boyfriend, and I was like, oh, this will do.
Yeah. I kind of felt like he was so eager to sleep with me, but it might be a huge disappointment. Yet that's the risk you take when you fuck somebody.
Oh, also, here's the penis to nose correlation. Here are the metrics. Sorry, I really stopped you. But all right. Yes, nose size is
train already out of the
station. Nose size is a significant predictor of penile size. Penile.
What?
And yeah.
That's not true.
Where is this from?
This is from
not from my experience.
Google's AI.
Oh,
dude.
Don't use Google AI. That's been wrong.
Google AI was programmed by a man.
There's a health institute
with a big
right
nose.
Here. That's here's a peer-reviewed article from the National Library of Medicine.
Okay, that I'll trust.
Yes. What does that say?
This is a very long conclusions. Nose size was a significant predictor of penile size.
Oh,
the size of penises and nose decreased
now we
in
talking
BMI.
width, like how far does it jut out?
It's length and circumference.
Length and circumference.
There's-
length. Okay.
There's a lot of metrics here.
The second guy we ever had on this podcast,
yeah,
Nico.
Yeah.
That wasn't his real name. Had a tiny nose.
yeah.
Giant wang. Just Coke can. Loved it.
I mean, that's the same with like.
Should we put these metrics up on the?
He has a very small nose, and he had a big old hog.
Should we put these metrics up? They
I
have
guess
graphs.
Steven had a big hog and he had a big nose.
So okay, in my head,
It's hit or miss.
the guys who have big noses that I've slept with, yes, all did have big penises, but then a lot of people who had small noses also had big penises.
Stop bragging.
So
We get it. You've never fucked a small guy.
I have.
I know you. I'm thinking of it in my head. Okay, anyway, back to this email. So, okay, you're right. Sorry for making fun of you. I really thought that was horseshit. Also, according to my experience, it is kind of horseshit, but I don't know. So far, I have slept with 3 people who are on the smaller side. I can't feel it. That sucks. With one of them, I used a toy to finish myself off, and he seemed annoyed. Well, that's fucking rude, because let me tell you something. If you have a tiny penis...
You can't have an attitude.
You can't have an attitude. I assumed you also knew that, but silly me. But there's so many things that you can do with the other appendages, with your tongue, with your face. Come on, guys. Come on, And if you have a tiny penis and you get offended that a woman is using a vibrator, shame on you. Okay, shame has a purpose. Use it for real. Okay, I can't feel it. With one of them, I used a toy to finish myself off. He seemed annoyed. I'm sorry, but any dick can't do the same job my vibrator can. So can we just start the conversation there? No, it's not a good way to start the conversation. That's not going to get the guy excited to have sex with you. Just so you know, this isn't going to be nowhere near the times I spent with myself.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if a guy said that to you? You'd be so hurt. Don't do that.
Yeah.
We got to remember guys have feelings too. I think we forget.
What if he was like, listen, you have a small rack, so I'm going to bring a female friend to motorboat while I stick my penis in
you know how they have like those torsos that are sex toys for guys?
Yeah.
If they have just like tits, that's a sex toy for guys. Look, I can't titty fuck those, so I got to titty fuck this half woman that I bought at Babeland. Okay.
Yeah. Like
You'd be
advocating
so
for yourself
pissed.
is not being a cunt. And I know I've led sometimes the people of this podcast down the wrong road.
Sure.
And I've been confusing about
Hey, we're all figuring ourselves out in real time, okay? Sorry. Also, too, like for progress to happen in an area of society, the pendulum always swings too hard in the opposite direction.
Sure.
And I have noticed, not a ton, but enough, pretty consistent, that women are standing up on this pedestal to stand up for themselves in a situation it's not called for. It's just not called for. You're trying to be virtuous and actually you're being an asshole to the guy. So like, hey, let's take some self-responsibility wherever we can. I'm sorry, but any dick can't do the same job as my vibrator can. So can we just start the conversation here? I also feel like sometimes the anticipation is better than the sex. Is 10 dates too long to wait? I waited 3.5 months with one guy, but I think he might have been gay. So that's probably too long. Girl, just because you wait, I don't know, but maybe you have other reasons you're not telling us. And how do you talk about small dick size at any stage of a relationship?
You don't?
Thanks, love you guys. You can't, girl.
What, you just sit
you're
down,
an example of the
sit
pendulum.
a man down and say, listen.
If a guy sat you down and goes, how wide is your cervix?
Yeah.
How wide is it? Because I don't know, man. You would be appalled. There would be articles on Jezebel about it.
Yeah.
We can't do that to men. We need to treat people how we want to be treated.
Yeah. And like the person knows they have a small penis. You don't need to point it out to them. They know.
That's the thing. If whatever appendage you're born with and then you grow up and you witness the appendage grow as however it's going to grow, you know what size it is.
Yeah.
I know what size my tits are.
Yeah.
You don't think a guy knows what size his penis is? Guys are obsessed with their penis. They know what size it is.
Like, and I'm also confused because you're like doing all this waiting until it feels right with someone, but then on like when you're explaining what you want, it seems like you just want to get railed by a guy with a big dick. Which is it?
I think it's that one.
Yeah.
I think that's the one you want. And also, too, I don't know if you're in therapy for the sexual assault, but you also want to be in a place that, like, you know, starting a sexual relationship with somebody you haven't slept with before feels safe. Obviously, getting to know them through the dates is one way to feel safe, for sure, regardless of if you have sexual assault or you know, in your past or not. But you also need to make sure that you're right with that trauma, right? So, like, that's work. And I don't know if you've done that work or not. You don't say in the email, but you know, if you have a history of that, that's something to work on within yourself. And then, sure, I think sharing it with a guy, I don't know. I can totally see wanting to share that with a guy if it's something that still affects you when you get sexual for the first time with a person. But then I'm like, does that mean you shouldn't be sexual yet because you should do some more inner work? I don't know. You know the answer to that question.
Yeah. And also, like, I understand that you're trying to, like, have these, you know, 3 dates a week so that you can get to know someone more quickly.
You could also talk on the phone.
But to me, and like text and stuff, but like to me, like any guy who's willing to meet with you 3 times a week does not have enough going on. And also, like, kind of is probably some sort of a love bomber. Like, unless you're like 21, you should not, in the beginning stages of dating someone, have 3 days a week available to give to them.
Yeah,
that's a red flag. Also, for both of you.
Now that I'm thinking about it, every person I've ever slept with, the first time, I didn't know him that well.
Yeah,
I didn't know him that well. You get to know them, even when you're in a long-term relationship and you've been dating for a year and then you decide to move in, you still learn stuff about each other. So that's why I say maybe you haven't worked on the trauma from the sexual assault, because your body is fucking brilliant. And as you go on, I would say 2-3 dates tops, you should have some type of feeling of, hey, is this person, do I vibe with this person? Do I like this person? Do I respect them so far? Obviously, stuff can change. You can learn information along the way. But to me, that's saying your spidey senses are a little muted.
Yeah.
In this category.
Yeah, because you're also saying, like, oh, I feel like then, like, the anticipation is more exciting than the actual sex. It's like, well, then maybe you're waiting too long for you too. 3.5 months when you're an adult, I mean, unless you're saving yourself for marriage, is no one's gonna wait that long. No matter how fantastic you are, and no matter how fantastic they are.
And I gotta be honest,
3.5 months.
I would never wait that long.
I would not wait 3.5.
I don't even know if I wait a month.
Yeah, I would not wait
that's
3.5 months.
3.5, like, I mean, I've had sex with a prostitute that I met that night.
Right.
It was It's fantastic.
Christina, we're saying full service sex worker
Sorry.
now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
full
no.
service?
Someone-
Gotta say full service?
Someone emailed me. Well, actually, because
Look, I know words are evolving.
I went
and
on
I
a
get it.
rant on Without a Country about how like great from like a comedian perspective, because like we're just obsessed with words, and I was like,
Prostitute is a
great word,
Yes.
right?
I
But
can't say sex worker on stage at a comedy show.
Well, and also sex worker doesn't give you enough information.
Yeah.
So I said, how do we so I was like, sex worker, I was like, is a wide spectrum.
Yep.
And so I went on this really long rant, and then someone nicely emailed me that the correct terminology was full service sex worker. That's how you know that you can get sex.
Okay.
Actual sex.
Okay. Right.
The full service part I kind of like. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's cute. It's like a gas station attendant.
Exactly. I like that part.
How can I service you, ma'am?
But I really do think that like maybe we should just bring back the word prostitute and like the way we brought back the word slut, because it's one of the best words the English language
and
has
it's the
to
oldest,
offer.
and it's the oldest
It is.
job in the
It's the
history of the
oldest
world.
profession. Extremely respected.
Prostitute. I
No
love
one's
that
brought
word.
down more politicians.
That's true. That's true.
Watch literally any
How
documentary.
cool would it be if a politician was just honest if they've engaged in services with a sex worker? I'd be like, good for you.
The only documentary about a politician that I watched that did not include a full service sex worker was the
About a woman?
AOC doc.
What's the theme there?
Yeah. Oh.
I wonder what the common denominator is.
What's the thread here?
I wonder. Yeah. So I think you're waiting too long. I think you need to look into your trauma a little bit more just to make sure that you're okay with it. Because then your sensibilities will come back to you, and you won't. I think the way you'll know if like how you've like dealt with the trauma, faced it, really gave yourself space to grieve, to feel whatever it is you feel, and then to like move on from your life. Well, however that process is for you, I think once you've done that, you wouldn't ever write this email because you wouldn't be in a space where you're overthinking stuff. Because there would just be a natural flow. Like the one trauma therapist I had, she explained something to me that I thought was so interesting. When you're traumatized, it's hard for you to engage in a dance of conversation. Every conversation is a dance. We mirror each other's body language. There's a rhythm. And I mean, if you listen to Guys Who Fuck a couple years ago, you could actively hear me just interrupting everybody left and right because I was just like, I was like about to get electrocuted. That's how like on edge I was. So I think that you'll know what to do once you've resolved that trauma. And you won't have a question about like, how long should I wait? Because you'll be able to gauge, well, who's the specific person and how do they make me feel? Yeah.
Hope that helped.
All right, guys. I have a solo podcast that's going to be happening for not that much longer, but if you want to listen to it, it's the voices in our heads. And I also have a Patreon that is going to be lasting for a very long time. Patreon.com/Krystyna Hutchinson. Once a week, I hold group therapy over Zoom where we just chat about whatever the hell is on our minds. And I have one tonight, and it's my I will never quit this because I look forward to it so much. You end up the Zoom session, you close out of the Zoom window feeling much more human than you did before. And it's validating, and it's great that something so simple can give you that great of a feeling. So it's a great space on the internet. One of the rare good spaces on the internet. So sign up, patreon.com/Krystyna Hutchinson.
And if you are interested in politics, or if you want to get more interested in politics, or just kind of know about the world around you, from a news perspective, check out Without a Country. It is my weekly news podcast that teaches you how to critically think and how to engage with people who think differently about social and political ideas, which I know is a tough pill to swallow, especially come January 20th for some of us. But you can check that out on YouTube. It's Without a Country podcast.
What's January 20th?
You can also follow the Instagram for Without a Country podcast. And there is a Patreon where you get an exclusive video news story every single week. That's patreon.com/Without a Country. We have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. So I will hope you will join that community. And if you are listening to this podcast and you are in the political field, meaning like you work on campaigns or you volunteer, Democratic Party only, unfortunately, please email me at withoutacountrypodcast@gmail.com. I know that was super vague, but
Promise it's worth it.
but we promise it's worth it. New York,
Promise.
if you're located in New York, obviously that's better because that's where we are.
Yeah. We need boots on the ground. How you doing?
really, you know how like they say in manifestation that you're supposed to be very specific.
Yes.
And you like, so I did a lot of manifesting at the beginning of last year, and I was very specific, and I got exactly what I wanted, and like. But one of the things that I was specific about was I was like, please, can no one die this year? And I should have extended that longer.
Yeah,
because I only really covered 2024.
Oh, you said that. And you said that at the end of the beginning of 2024.
Yeah, because like. Obviously, death is a natural part of life, so I didn't feel like I can't be like no one die ever, like
right?
But
no freak accidents or anyone die before their time.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe I have to ask of bigger things, and I think this is a note for all women. Like, ask the biggest thing you can from the universe, because it feels like self-indulgent to ask for like these huge things, but
it's great. I do it all. I love it.
I also think
dream big.
Well, I was also reading more about it, and I certainly do dream big, but I was thinking more about it, and I'm like, I think when you're brought to this planet, like, wouldn't your maker, whoever that is, want you to do the absolute most you possibly can with the life that you are given?
Sure.
So anyway, on Friday, I got the news that a very good friend of mine who's been on this podcast, Mike Froggatt, a core member of my VIGs, which is what I call my gay group, friend group that I talk about often on this show. He passed away in like a really horrific, strange accident in another country, and I've just kind of been like, I'm still in shock about it, honestly.
Yeah.
And he was just
That's
like
wild.
He's just like a great person. He's a big listener to this show. Like, basically, you can go back and like for every reel, he has a comment on like almost every reel.
Yeah.
Came to all of our shows. Him and his husband. He told me recently, because it was their anniversary, I wished them a happy anniversary, and he was like, I don't think you know this, but like one of our first dates ever was to see me and you Guys to Be Fucked at the Bell House.
Oh, really?
Which was a really spectacular show.
That was a great show.
And so he's been such a big part of Guys Be Fucked and of my life. And, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. My gay friends cared about me when I moved to New York City. They took me under their wing. They made sure I had a community of friends, and they really supported my comedy career when no one gave a shit.
They were at all the shows. What was the show you hosted with?
Shit.
I think you co-hosted with Jonesy at the Gay Bar in Hell's Kitchen.
It was called Free Cocaine.
Yeah, that was Free Cocaine. But there's also, you hosted one at the Fairy Tale Lounge.
Oh gosh,
didn't you?
That was me and Duff. I don't even remember what we were calling that,
because you were out wearing costumes.
It was some wild thing. I mean, we had so many shows over the years, and if it wasn't for my gay friends coming out consistently, being great audience members, having the money to buy drinks and buy me drinks. I mean, I like I always say, without my gay friends, I would be dead in a ditch right now, 100%.
Yeah.
And so this is like just a huge blow to our friend group. And additionally, he did so much charity work for. We phone banked for marriage equality and worked together with that group of friends in New York to, get gay marriage passed. And he was a big bike rider for Breaking for AIDS. He would do that every year. He did a lot of work for racial injustice and just, again, all around, like, active citizen, as I would say, on Without a Country. So, that's going to be a huge loss. And I have it in my bio on Instagram. Obviously, that's like a very unexpected death. He was only in his early 40s, but his husband is, not kind of left with all his funeral expenses, which is even more costly when you die out of the country and when you live in America. So if you have, any extra funds, I do have a GoFundMe link up, but I understand, like, it's so, I was just thinking of, like, it's so crazy now, like, we all turn into a GoFundMe link. Like, is that what life is? When you die, you turn into a GoFundMe link? What a larger conversation about
for America.
Yeah, like this is what it is.
Yeah,
like someone dies, and the first thing you have to do is worry about putting up a GoFundMe link so that you don't lose your home. And so that you can bury your loved ones?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
How is this the greatest country again?
Yeah.
I mean, we could say stuff. That's great. That is great. I don't take that for granted, but Jesus Christ.
But he was on an episode a while back with Jim Koo where he did a highlight, and it had gotten written up in some publications, but like because they did the HIV swab test
in my
on
living room.
air.
Right.
Yeah. And so he was, and I was like, that's so
remember he
aligned
brought
with who
those.
he is, because he was, of course, on the show to speak about, healthcare for a community that he did a lot of work for.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Rest in peace.
So
Oh my God. Death sucks.
That's a deep cut right there.
Death sucks. Again, it's like what do you do with the feelings?
Yeah.
What do you do with them? You feel them. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
But there's no comfort with death.
Yeah.
I guess it's just time.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. Ugh.
Yeah. Much love to his husband. So
Yeah, poor guy. Could you imagine losing a kid has got to be number one worst loss.
Yeah.
But then losing your love of your life, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd survive that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I saw my friend who I had a GoFundMe link, by the way, thank you everybody for donating to that, had her baby.
Yay, I saw the little hands.
So I do want a baby this week. Because I watched her fucking handle it like a G.
Oh, good.
Her birth plan didn't go, it went polar opposite of the way she intended.
Yeah.
She handled it like a G. She was by herself.
Ooh.
Because she had one close, she had a doula.
I was gonna say, I knowing her, she definitely had a doula.
For sure. And the birth she wanted didn't, if she were to give birth at a birthing center, it wouldn't have gone well. So they needed medical interventions because she but it was really cool. Her baby was like only 5.5 or 6 pounds, so tiny. And when I walked in her apartment, she was breastfeeding her kid, and like somebody that you danced on top of bars with in 2006 that like you like did bikini contests with on St. Patrick's Day, and like fucking the first night ever out in New York City, we both got kidnapped together. Never forget that. Like we just have so many memories of us being like hot messes, but we're like 20, so it's okay. And just all of these stages in our lives that we've been together. It was wild to watch her like be a mom and just kill it. It was really fucking cool. And I just kept staring at that baby. I'm like, damn, this is cool. And it got me thinking, I'm like, man, I'm watching her do this. Obviously, it's hard as shit. Single parents, you have a very tough job. You have a very tough job, and I commend you for the job that you're doing. And especially because the baby daddy, not good. And I really hope I can give you more information on that soon. But it was really cool to watch her just handle motherhood in her apartment and like, burp the baby, feed the breastfeed. And like, it was so cool. And it made me go, fuck, if she could do this, she's a badass woman. And she's done a lot of incredible things in her life. But I'm like, man, she really inspired me. Because I'm like, if you can do this alone, which it is possible, if you are in a situation where you have the father of your baby actively involved and caring and helping you, like if you're able to do it by yourself, doing it with another person has to be a lot more doable, it seems. And I'm like, I could totally have a baby.
Oh, so your concern why you might not want to is because you just don't know if you could manage it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
frankly.
realize that. I was like, my concern is just like I didn't want it to come out and be like, nah, I didn't really want this. Yeah. Can you send it
return
back?
it?
Can you send it back like a meal you don't like?
Yeah.
Do not clip that.
Don't clip
We're
that.
joking.
It's jokes with stand-up comedians. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I definitely want a baby this week. Ooh, so bad. Also, too, I was listening to Esther Perel. Great podcast. Wait, what's the fucking called? It's called... I don't want to butcher the name. Yeah, Where Should We Begin? Where Should We Begin? It's a great podcast with Esther Perel, and I subscribe to it. I'm a paid subscriber. So if you're a paid Luminary subscriber, thank you. I appreciate that. You only subscribe and pay money for the podcast you really love, and hers is one of them. And she was she was talking to this woman. It was a one-time therapy session, and she's afraid of turning into her mother, and her mother had a lot of things that my mom had, and I'm like, and it was a very interesting listen. But she said something in the woman who was being interviewed by Esther said there was this thing going on in her family that I'm like, I think this is pervasive in a lot of cultures and a lot of families. You lose your son, but you keep your daughter. Meaning that when you have kids and you have a son or you have a daughter, if you have both, the son's going to go up and go out into the world or whatever, but the daughter's always going to be there for you. And the daughter's always going to be there for you to lean on and to get emotional support from. And I was thinking about families that I know with both boy and girls siblings, I'm like, yeah, there is so much more expected of the daughter than the son. Not all of them, certainly, not all of them, but I could think of a lot of big examples. So I thought that was interesting.
Especially, I mean, if you like look up the hashtag like oldest daughter, like there's like a big
a lot of memes about y'all.
Big oldest daughter community on
y'all.
Instagram, which I'm thankful for because I was like, I thought it was just me.
Yeah,
I thought it was just me. I thought maybe perhaps this was just in my head, and I'm like, no, this is like a cultural thing.
Yeah. No, I know all the memes about oldest daughters. Yeah. So I was thinking about that, and then I could save these other topics for next week because it's going to turn into a larger conversation. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Babies, death sucks. Birth is cool. Birth is pretty cool.
Birth is definitely very cool.
Yeah, it's to see a new person that hasn't seen anything yet is just her eyes were just like look, and I watched the baby look at her, my friend, and like stare at her from her little cushion on her couch, and I fucking lost it. It was so beautiful. Ugh, humanity really is, they're really good. We're really good, but there's just a lot of shit, you know?
I do. I enjoy it. My best friend's kids, I love them. We have a fun time.
So cool to watch like a woman you've known forever become a mom. It's a really rewarding thing to witness. You know what else is also rewarding?
Today's guest.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you are correct, Corinne. She is sparking a feminist revolution in the way we date and find love. If you're listening to this email writer from earlier, she's one of the top matchmakers in the United States, and she owns a company called Date Brazen.
Which is also the name of her podcast.
Yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Lily Womble.